Hope he walks faster than I do. Although we could get through the easy stuff.
An hour and a half we'll be out here.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and, oh, here he is, walking down the hill. Yep, I was waiting for you. Trying to be nice. Okay.
Actually, it's not that bad.
Okay, I'm going to call a meeting to order. And does anybody have any announcements? Okay, I do. As commissioners, we can get reimbursement for traveling to and from meetings, going to meetings, doing different things like that. It's all written in here on this one paper that you got. Procedure for library commissioner expense reimbursement. Now, this is going to change to some degree. I mean, here it says $500, et cetera. But that does not include the travel back and forth. So figure out the number of miles you went. It's 58 cents a mile, so that's what your total is, number of miles times 58. If you've gone to any meetings that have, like conferences or anything, and you haven't charged them before, you can charge them, as long as they don't exceed $500 at this point in time. And then you fill this out, and these have to be in by June 15th, because they have to have time to process them. If you go to something between June 15th and June 30th, you can charge it on the next, the July reimbursement. It will carry over, okay? If it's something like the finance meeting that you go to, Rebecca, would it be okay, like the finance meeting's on the 20th and this cuts off on the 30th, can you go ahead and stick the 20th on there?
Yes, that's fine. The actual closing for the building's day cutoff is June 24th. So as long as I have, I think Randall will have to sign all of these. As long as we get that, the next meeting is on the 20th. I'm sure
whatever it is, yeah, okay.
So it's all done. And again, this will be closed out
20th.
here, but if you don't get it, we just need to know it's coming, you'll approve for it, we don't have any problems with it, we'll just carry it over to next year. But we can certainly use this for next year as well. We do have it electronically, we'll make it electronically. If you have any questions, certainly reach out to me.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has too. I personally keep a Excel sheet of what I do each month, and that seems to help me. So, okay. Any members of the public want to make a comment? Okay. So we will go into closed session. There are 2 topics to be discussed, and we will see you as soon as we possibly can get back out here.
I wanted to announce when you use your microphones, please hold them close to your mouth and turn them off when you're finished speaking. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody's back and settled? Okay, reporting out on the 2 items in the closed agenda, closed sessions that we talked about. Yeah, I just lost it. We have agreed to have Ann Hammond, the library director, sign the lease for the Roseland properties. And we thank Lana and all the staff that had worked so hard to bring that to fruition. We really do appreciate what you have done. And, okay, Barbara, remind me, MOU, what did we do? I just lost it.
Well, we went over the MOU.
Okay, yes. We discussed the MOU, and it was ratified by the SEIU, and we have agreed to its state the way it's at now. So, what?
We have to vote on it. When we pass the consent agenda.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes, it will come up in the consent agenda. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Okay, there are no lab appointments. Is there anybody from an advisory board or the foundation or the Friends of the Library that wants to make a comment? Don't see anybody. Thank you, Tom, by the way. Okay, get these done. Okay, so we're up for the reading program. God, I can't believe I lost it.
We brought a microphone. Hi, this is Kathy Morgan. We are here today to share information about our summer reading program this year.
Some of you have heard about past summer reading presentations that are fun and a great experience as put on by Kathy. Kathy's presentation this, Kathy's presentation that, Kathy's presentation this, Kathy's presentation...
Marsha.
You scared me. What are you doing? Well, anyway, this year we are going to educate you because summer reading is a very, very serious thing. Let me tell you all about the summer slide and how important it is for adults to be involved in reading and how we have 4 different age levels and so many programs. Whoa, what are you doing there?
I'm saying cut.
Why?
Because the theme this summer is it's showtime. Try it again, this time with a bit more enthusiasm.
Okay, we got this. All right, I have an idea.
What is it? What do I have to do?
Okay, well, you can start by pretending you're a kid over the summer.
Like by being really bored?
Exactly. So I'm going to go off stage, and you act bored. Here you go.
And there's nothing happening on any of these social media channels. No TikTok, no Snapchat. It's so boring to be a teenager with a phone in the summer. I wish something would happen.
How about a show?
A show?
A show! It's summertime, and it's showtime at your library. We have plenty to keep you busy over the summer.
I love shows, and I love reading.
It is showtime at every library. And there are 14 libraries across Sonoma County.
What kind of shows are you going to have?
Well, let me show you.
Oh, dear.
For kids. Ooh, let me take that from you. Take that. For kids, we will have magic shows. And we have puppet shows, the San Francisco Opera, wild animals, masks and mime, music, and more.
No way. And what about for teens?
Funny you asked. For teens, there are classes and workshops designed to engage, entertain, and educate, including self-defense, screenwriting, like this. ASL, comic book drawing, art workshops, and learning to be a dungeon master.
Oh, and can I tell you about what there is for adults? Yes. We have an incredible lineup of art classes, community building events, and music from artists including the Pine Needles and Jean-Paul Bongiorno. And don't forget our Distinguished Speaker series.
Distinguished Speaker? What's that?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Why, it is a bevy of people that you have heard of coming to our libraries, like Alice Siebold, Maureen Corrigan, Nick Sheff, Nigel Poor, coming to speak at a library near you.
And don't forget, there's reading and prizes.
Oh, I love reading and I love prizes. What else is there? How much does it cost?
It's absolutely free.
I love free. When can I start?
It starts now, June 1st, and goes till August 10th. Just stop by your local library, or you can sign up right now online or on your phone, right there.
I want to start right now. I wish it was summer right now.
And cut. That's a wrap. Thanks, everyone.
We do have a few other notes.
We did want to actually tell you some serious things about summer reading this year. We have made it a simplified structure, so it is read 5 books, get a free book, with 4 levels of participation: early learners, K through 6, teen, and adult. And it's a point-based structure, so if you reach 500 points, which you can get either through reading books, completing activities, or going to library events, you get 500 points to finish, and then you go into the library, you get your free book. You can do that up to 5 times.
Another new thing this year is we had for the first time, we had a system-wide approach to our promotional materials for the summer reading program. I put a packet at everyone's table, and if anyone didn't get one, because we just kind of put them by the chairs, it's possible that we didn't get one to you. But there is a bookmark that is adults, kids, and teens, bilingual, that this went home. I'm not going to say to every kid in every school, but we made a really big push this year to get them to all the schools. And also they're going to be placed in the holds for the adult books, the kids books, the teen books, all summer long to promote the summer reading program. The other really exciting thing is this booklet. We are so proud of this. This is all age levels, children's, teen, and adults. Bilingual English and Spanish, all the materials together in one booklet. We could not have done this at all without the help of and support of our graphics department and our community services manager, Ray Holly. This was a huge accomplishment this year, and it really streamlines things so that we can talk about adult, children's, and teen to the same family all at once.
And then, like I already said, we're going to be rewarding reading with reading. We got a lot of feedback over last year that we didn't want to have any more plastic tchotchkes giving out and things that were actually meaningful. So on the adult side, we're giving out coupons for free books from Friends bookstores, which is the equivalent of a free book.
And of course, they use the Friends library for support. The other new thing is the Dean Staff Online Reading Management Program.
You want to check your microphone?
It says it's on. Oh, there we go. The Beanstack online reading management platform. This is new this year. It's a way for us to offer an online component for the reading program. It's remote point-of-use access to log your reading, as well as a way to track statistics, reduce paper use, and gathering accurate statistics so we can report on the value of the summer reading programs to our stakeholders. It's a little bit of a what's the word? It's a shift. It's a workflow shift for staff. Staff is being very supportive in rolling it out this year. We're really excited to see how it goes. But as I said, you can log in and log your reading from your phone. It's pretty exciting.
So I also want to just have this moment, since I have you guys in front of me, to let you all know that you all need to sign up for adult summer reading. I expect to see your names. If we, Kathy and I are the ones in charge of Beanstack, so we can look up anything. I mean, we would use that, judiciously, of course, but...
With pride.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions about my reading program?
Beanstack is not just for kids.
It's,
It
even
is
though it
not.
sounds like a kid thing.
It is not. We tested it this winter with a children's reading
Right.
program, but it really is a reading management program. We also did like a Martin Luther King challenge that was all ages. We did a poetry challenge that was all ages through the Beanstack just to test it out. But the summer reading program this summer for all ages is being managed through the Beanstack.
Okay, since I've never been on it, so we have our library app. Do we go on the library app, or do we have to download the Beanstack app?
You will have to go to your app store of choice and download an app called the Beanstack Tracker app.
Okay, is that in the materials?
I think it should be in the booklet of how to download the app.
Okay.
And it's definitely on the website.
Thank you.
Anything else? Aren't they great? Yeah, they turned out really well.
Thank you all.
Yes, very nice.
Did you notice that they glow in the dark? Yes. It's hot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had my shirt sitting on the table beside me, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and there were all these little dots there, and I couldn't figure out what they were. Okay. Thank you both, and thank you for all the work you've done to put this together.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, presentation for automated materials handling report. Lori Bowen-Air.
Hi there. I'm introducing Lori Bowen-Air. She has been working as an automated materials handling consultant for the Sonoma County Libraries since earlier this fall and earlier this spring as well. Anyway, I want her to give a report of her findings. You will see in the packet that there is both the full report as well as an executive summary. And what Lori's going to do now is step through the executive summary. We'll put that up on the screen for you and take questions. Okay, let's see if we can scroll. You got yours over there. Yeah.
Hello. Has everyone had a chance to read the report? Yes. Excellent. In the summary, I just tried to pull out the things that I thought you might be more interested in. I didn't think we needed to step through the entire document, but I am happy to answer any questions you had about that document, or I can just begin by stepping through the summary. Does anyone have any questions from the actual report? Anything that confused you that you'd like clarification about, or something I wasn't clear about? As to the summary then, did you have something? No? Okay. One thing I want to say that I didn't include in the summary is that I did spend a fair amount of time with the delivery team who, if it didn't come through, I wanted to make clear that I think the library is doing a really good job at managing delivery, and the report, you know, my job is always to come in and find ways to do things better, and I sometimes am not good about saying the parts that are being done very well. And there's a lot that's being done very well in that department, both the delivery operation, and I talked with people in public services and how they interact with the delivery operation. So there's a lot of decisions they've made that are for ergonomic purposes, which I am in complete support of. I think I've never been a fan of the delivery cart solution, as you can probably tell from my report. But I understand their motivations for making that decision, and you know, I think there are some benefits to it. But as we move towards a more standardized solution where we're, you know, interested in using automation that is available to libraries around the country and around the world, using the current solution just doesn't make any sense anymore. It doesn't interface well at all. So what I did in this summary is to just talk about, as I said, what's wrong with the current system, or what the drawbacks are within the, understanding that I understand why these choices were made, and they've worked well in some ways. But ultimately, it's a very high cost for the benefit that you get for the ergonomics, and it ties you into a customized solution for everything you're doing in your logistics operation. And I don't think you want to continue to move forward on that path. For one thing, it's a very inefficient way to store material in a truck, and you can't buy standardized products for moving material in and out of trucks and into the library. And I don't know of any AMH system that would interface with that system. So it kind of locks you into either just stay with what you're doing and don't think about automating, or kind of go to a more standard approach. So what I'm bringing to you is a recommendation that is a very standard approach in libraries now, that involves automatically sorting the material at the central operation. The solution I'm proposing wouldn't actually change very much of the staffing of the delivery team. You'd have the same number of drivers. You'd have the same number of full-time staff. You'd just be able to probably have fewer part-time staff. The real savings is on the receiving side. So right now, the library, the delivery team is relying on a lot of sorting that happens in the library. And where the savings comes in is you eliminate all of the work that library staff are doing. So it's not exactly an out-of-pocket savings. So that's why when I was giving you the return on investment discussion, I call it a theoretical savings. So this is, I like to put numbers to it so that you understand that there is a value to it, but it's not a savings in the sense that you're going to, have fewer staff or something. I have, I don't know if anybody's if you understand the concept of tote manifesting and tote batch check-in. Did you get that? Did you get that one? Yeah. I want to explain what that is. It's a really important concept to get, because what the delivery team is going to be doing is just putting material on a sorter. It sorts it into a delivery tote or crate. And the really great thing that happens is when the libraries receive that crate full of 33 items, instead of checking in everyone one at a time, they will be able to scan the crate and cause all of those 33 items to be checked in and as received. So it's better tracking of the material. It's a huge savings on the receiving side of the library. And again, to give props to the library system here, one of the reasons that they'll be able to implement this easily is because they have a customized hold slip that they can put on each item when they pull items to fill holds off the shelves, and they get sorted, so they will already have a hold slip on them. So when I'm in my branch library and I check in all these items, there's going to be a mix of holds with hold slips in them, and a mix of items that go into that go back on the shelf. So it will be a much more streamlined operation for the libraries on the receiving end. So the tote manifesting is something that happens electronically, and the batch check-in is when they scan that tote. So this will allow them to discontinue this idea of automatic status progression, which is another technical concept, but it was, again, another thing that the library has done to save the work of people in the branches, and an ergonomic solution, which is to say, when I send something through the delivery system, I'm going to change the status of that item so that the patrons know it has arrived at a different location, instead of making the library staff scan all these things. So we're trusting that when we send it out to delivery, it arrives where it's supposed to go, and it will end up on the shelf 48 hours later. But with the tote manifesting situation, when you actually scan the tote, you will be saying, yeah, for sure, it's really here. And by the way, it's going to be twice as fast because you're going to get the item the next day. So this will result in some hidden savings too, which is material will be getting into the hands of the users much faster. I believe that it also means that you end up buying fewer items because they're not spending so much time in transition, so they're actually in people's hands, so you save a little money there, and you'll be tracking all of your material much better. So I've provided some ideas about how you lay out a system. I gave you a chart, which is to, they've done a really good job of designing the routes. I played around with the routes as part of my consultation and couldn't find a better solution for, moving back to a 2-route system or something like that. So designing the sorter around the routes so that, again, we're reducing the amount of movement of material. They'll go into these totes. They'll use nice industry standard carriers to get things from the sorter and into the truck. So I was very attentive to the commitment that the library has, and especially talking to Kevin. He really didn't want anyone to have to pick up any totes because they've really worked hard to keep that something that the delivery team hasn't had to do. It's one thing to pick up a tote. When you have to pick up 500 of them a day, it adds up. So a lot of this little additional suggestions I made in this report include some other features. I won't go into the detail, but if you want to hear about them, I love talking about this stuff. I'd happily tell you more. But I will just leave it at this is a solution that I think would pay for itself theoretically very quickly. They have the perfect space for it at the Roner Park Library, so it's kind of an easy set of recommendations to make. Can I answer any questions?
Yes, your report was very complete. I liked the summary, and then I did read all the details. You answered a lot of the questions. In terms of the impact on staff, you were not talking about any reductions to staff, but with a possible savings on part-time staff, right?
At the delivery team, in the delivery operation.
And you've got on here that return on investment, basically 4 years to recover the cost. And
theoretically,
okay. And the money, this isn't probably in your bailiwick, but I'll ask staff this question. The money that we put aside from the budget surplus is enough to cover this initial purchase of the sorter, right?
So, yeah, let me talk about that for a minute. So we are using surplus funds for this, and the next steps in our process together with Lori is to actually write a request for proposal and allow, there are 3 or 4 or more companies that provide this kind of service and capability. So we will be placing a request for proposal on the street, and then we'll go through a process to vet the vendors. We'll bring them all in and talk with them and view their proposals, and then based on the criteria that we lay out in the request for proposal, we'll be looking at the ones that meet the cost as well as most importantly, the functionality that's being recommended by our consultant here, so that that'll help winnow down the number of vendors as we walk through that. But that there is enough money in this in the surplus, Barbara, to handle the proposal.
So plan A, the initial part of this going, what we're talking about, that we have enough money put aside for that?
Yes, okay. Correct.
And then I was also curious about the timing of it. On page 31, you get into the recommendation of the transition plan. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, how long roughly you might expect that we would just start with this first route and see how it works out, and then, you know, move to the next route and see how that works out. I also had a question about the trucks, because you were talking about, yeah, well, actually we can go into like nicer, smaller, less, you know, not as long trucks, and that would mean, I'm just wondering about the transition of the trucks and whether we have to re-customize the old trucks to.
I think the idea is to stop customizing the trucks. So at this point, I would recommend that you just continue on your replacement cycle with the trucks. But in order to move to a tote-based system, the first thing we have to do is get all of those bays out of there that are taking up all the space and adding weight and preventing you from just loading things in a compact manner. So what my recommendation was to do that one route at a time. So send the trucks out, get the customization components pulled out, so it's just a box truck again, and run that route. You're going to also have some adjustment to make on the libraries that are receiving material that way, because they're not going to be getting the delivery carts anymore. So there's an adjustment that needs to be made there. I've made recommendations for some products that I think will keep it an ergonomic solution, but it'll take people, you know, some time to transition to
When
the new way.
You've done other systems like this, I'm assuming. How long would you say roughly it might take to start from the first route?
You know, it kind of depends on your own organization's ability to transition and, you know, to work together to not just accept, but kind of to really embrace the new way of doing things. So I know that some people aren't going to like the change, so we have to kind of move forward in a way that we're getting people on board with the idea and involving them in their solutions making when it comes to, you know, still let them do the workflow that they need to do in their libraries, but with different tools. So I would estimate that this would roll out over the course of, say, 6 months or something like that.
The first route?
No, I think you could roll out the whole thing in 6 months.
The whole thing in 6 months? So my last comment is just, as a person, I'm just thinking about getting totes and things, taking things out one by one. It just seems less.
Well, but remember, they're taking things off one by one now. So what they're getting is a very big, heavy book cart with shelves on both sides.
Right.
And every single one, they have to, you know, take the item, check the condition, and put it on a different on a different shelving cart. So the difference will be they will take the item out of a tote that we will be able to keep it at a comfortable level for them to unload it. So instead of, you know, getting items off this shelf and now this shelf and now that shelf and turning the cart around and getting it off, they're just going to be able to stand there and take items out of the totes and organize them however they want to organize them to shelve them.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a very common. You are in a very small world of libraries that use the system you're using. I know that Tulsa City County is one library I know that was big on using delivery carts, but it's a very non-standard way to do things because of all the reasons I've described. You know, it wastes so much space in those trucks. So you're buying bigger trucks than you need to. It's, you know, they're pushing big, heavy things around. And like I said, the workflow for the libraries is not going to change very much. They're still going to have to touch everything as they do now, only they won't have to bend over and twist to do it. So,
yeah. So the trucks that we currently have, we would like de-customize them. And when we buy a new truck, we would buy a smaller, different kind of truck, since we're supposed to be buying
the same kind of truck, but you wouldn't have to pay $8,000 or whatever it is, $5,000 to put all that customized stuff that adds weight, that has to be, you know, maintained. And
so my last question would be: so there's no drawback, there's no negatives there's no reason not to do this.
I don't think there's a reason not to do it, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a transition, because you've been using this system for many, many years.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Tom?
I think it's an excellent report. I read the thing. It's a very technical field I knew nothing about, and now I kind of understand what she's talking about, and I think we should go ahead with the program, although we don't have actual action item on here, but I feel very comfortable with it, and I think you should just ask if everybody else feels comfortable or if they have objections, and then let the staff go ahead.
Could you please speak into the microphone?
Somebody was.
We should ask the commissioners if they're okay with this program, and we should let the staff go ahead. And if there's a consensus, then we should tell the staff should proceed to prepare the RFP, et cetera.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. I appreciate the detailed report. Like Tom, I read all of it, understood most of it, and I think it's a great idea.
Great, thanks.
Okay, any other comments? Okay.
Excellent report.
Okay, so do we have a consensus?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Unanimous, so the directions to the library director and staff are to move ahead and get the RFP going and towards getting this moving.
I didn't include this in your packet, and I know you like to have everything in the packet, so I'm hesitant to even do this, but I thought you might not know what I was talking about, so I did print some pictures from a previous site visit to the library. So these are not your current staff, but it shows you some of the challenges in different parts.
Could you use this microphone and say again what you said?
Okay. These are just some photographs that I took the first years that I worked with the Sonoma County Library, which was several years ago. So these are not the same delivery team, and they've improved several things since then. But what you're seeing here is basically the same operation that is being used today. So I just wanted you to get a sense of what it was I was talking about.
Okay.
Just a quick question. So when the sorter is big, I would imagine, and we will still have room for the old system and the new system in our current Roanoke Park, the new location. There's plenty of room to do both these things.
Yeah, actually these systems are big, but they sometimes end up taking up less space than a manual operation because they're all very compact and, more compact than you can be if you're physically trying to sort a bunch of things to several different places.
Are you aware of any maintenance issues on these sorters? Significant maintenance issues?
That's one of the things you want to be careful about with the RFP process, to make sure that you're doing good reference checks and talking to people who have systems in production and that the library does good maintenance. I'm a proponent of having a very full maintenance contract where, all the library is doing is basic, daily cleaning of the system and some minor modifications, and the vendors come in a couple times a year and replace there's a lot of moving parts, so you want to make sure those are replaced ahead of time so you don't wait for them to break. And these systems are going easily 10 years. I mean, the vendors will say 10 years, but I know most of them are 10, 12, and longer. So,
great.
I think.
Thank you.
And we'll bring you in for an open house once we get whatever system we purchase so you can watch it. It's kind of fun, actually. When I was in another library system, we had 20 different sorting units not different ones, but 20 sorting units. And one of them was in a branch where we put a big window in, and the little kids, it was like, pizza. And our director had that idea, and it was really great. People would stand and watch the books moving through the sorting system, and it was kind of interesting and fun. So thank you all.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lori. Thank you. And Vicki. Good report. Okay, so we are moving on to the commission report. I'll start with the chair report. Most of it is written in the packet, so you don't have to go a lot of boring stuff. I do want to say I want to thank the staff and everybody who participated in working with the Santa Rosa City Council to move their commitment along to support Roseland. We'll keep our fingers crossed and keep going till we get it finalized in June, and then we'll start all over and begin working to get that to be a more permanent kind of commitment. I went to the CPLA, the California Public Library Association workshop that they had in Oakland. Ray Hawley and Ann were there as well. And there was a lot of good information in talking about sharing resources between the different groups and strategizing how to get the message out in a consistent manner. So that was kind of fun. Of course, I attended the Sue Hall presentation. Again, it's working together and getting the information out or getting the message out to the different entities that it needs to go to. And you will also see a letter that was written. I believe Ray did the rough draft of it and finalized it. It's the letter supporting the ACA 1, which is changing special district voting from the 2/3 vote that's required at this point in time to get something passed to the 55%. And it is in committees now. So other than that. So who would like to start? How about Stephen?
Report is in the file. Additionally, I just want to give a shout out to Commissioner Snyder, who invited us all to the Makers Fair convention at Sonoma State University. It was very inspiring. I learned a lot, and then also attended the all-day lab meeting on Saturday, and it was also productive despite the fact that due to scheduling, which hopefully won't repeat, was on Gay Pride. So that's it.
I also attended the Maker Conference at Sonoma State University, and I want to thank Commissioner Snyder for inviting us. The concerts on the Green in Windsor started last Thursday night. The one coming up this Thursday, the Friends of the Windsor Library is one of the sponsors of the Thursday night concert, and we will be having a table, booth, whatever, and telling everyone about how wonderful summer reading is. The first Friends Farmers Market book sale will be Sunday, June the 16th, which is Father's Day.
My report's in the packet. Thanks.
My report is in the packet. Thanks.
I also attended the all-day lab meeting and was only able to stay for the morning, but what I was there for was seemed to be productive. And also I will be presenting before the Petaluma City Council on June 17th, the state of the library. So thank you for everyone that's going to get me all the information. So thank you, Ray.
Yes, my report is in the packet. It's page 37, 38, and 39. I'd like to point out the photos from United Nations, the meeting we had at the United Nations. I've got there, and then some nice pictures of Nancy Kleban's retirement party, and say hi to Nancy if she happens to actually go back and watch this meeting from her new home in Massachusetts. I did want to say that also on on page 39, there's pictures of this huge big deal that we had for the volunteer luncheon this year, which again we focused on our 100-year-old Alwyn Peterson, our volunteer coordinator, and you can see she got a proclamation from the mayor, and then the third picture there, you can see what it actually looked like. We showed her oral history on the big screen there, and that was a great day, big deal. And I also wanted to say one more thing, which is Ann and Reese and I have been meeting every Monday for a long time, every Monday. And a couple of weeks ago, we were meeting on Monday, and we were talking about having an open house at headquarters to show all our jurisdictional partners, all the mayors and council members and city staff, our headquarters. And then Reese had this bright idea, well, why don't we have the mayors and council members meeting instead? And so we were able to just throw this together in like record time, and Vicki has been working wildly and her team to get the room finished and to have the technology there so we can really show off our meeting space. But the Mayors and Council Members Association is something that our library had no affiliation with whatsoever, and Reese and I started going last fall. All the mayors are there. The city council members are there. A lot of the senior staff are there. City managers are there. It's just a great way to connect our library to our jurisdictional partners. So Reese and I started going about, I don't know, whatever it was, but it meets every other month and it rotates different cities. So it just so happens that the city of Roanoke Park happens to be the host city for June. So anyway, this is really one of these things like, can you make it happen? Because it has to happen really fast, and it is happening. So I appreciate the effort, all the staff, Ann, Jaylene, other people who are involved in working and making this happen. I'm sure all of us are invited, but what we've been doing is the commissioner whose city has been the host city has been the one going. So Reese and I have been going as chair and vice chair. When we were up in Windsor, Randall came. When we were in Petaluma, Paul also came. This is going to be at headquarters, so I think everybody should think about coming if you're interested. But as far as I know, we're going to have a big tour and show everybody how it really works. I think this is going to be a fundamentally important meeting for a lot of people to really see the new library, the new headquarters, and how we operate. So anyway, again, thanks to everybody who's working on that, and it is June the 13th, the Mayors and Council Members Association meeting at Roanoke Park headquarters. Thank you.
Tom?
No report.
My report is in the packet.
And I'll finish up with that Mayors and Council meeting starts at 6 p.m. It is something that we can get a reimbursement on. So by all means, if you feel like coming, it's kind of fun because it is one place that they're all together and they keep seeing the face of the library. That's why we're going. So, and I went to the all-day lab, and I think it was very good in many ways. I think some of the people in the different labs didn't know how all these different parts work together and fit together. I think they began to get a good concept of how it's happening. So, okay. And so we're moving into the committee reports. And the first one, director's evaluation. We will be meeting end of this month to set goals with Ann and begin to start that process. And moving on to finance. Randall?
The Finance Committee report is in the packet. Most of the numbers will be coming later from Rebecca. I would like to point out that it looks like we're going to have a surplus this year. So I tried to go back to the surplus that we approved last year and check off the items that have actually been spent. And most of it's been spent. Very good. So we need to start looking ahead that July the 1st, we can declare, yes, we have a surplus and how big it is, and start planning for what sort of capital improvements we can use that money for. That's all.
Stephen?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you very much. It was very helpful in reading your report about the surplus wish list and how it was checked off. I just love that because I know we're on track, and I think that's going to help our Measure Y Oversight Committee a lot in preparing the report. So thank you.
Okay. Deborah, advocacy.
The advocacy report is in the packet also, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Heavenridge for chairing in my absence.
Okay, the foundation report was submitted by Jason Merrick, and you'll find it in the packet. So we'll move on to the Measure Y Oversight Committee. The liaison is Randall Neff.
Okay, we had the first meeting of the new term, as it were, with several new members, and there was an overview of what the responsibilities of the committee were and the wonderful report that they did for the last term about how the funds were used. So it was all very positive.
All righty, thank you, Randall. Roseland Coalition Liaison, Stephen?
Yes, we've been hearing all night about the tremendous success, but definitely just still have to thank our partners with the emphasis on partners. None of this would have been possible without the County Board of Supervisors, the Santa Rosa Council, and the members of the Roseland Coalition. That includes a lot of our hardworking staff, so props to them. But I do have to give a special shout out to the tireless co-chairs of the Roseland Coalition, Pat and Norma. Their inspiration just has carried us through all of this, and look forward to nothing but great things moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, moving into the ad hocs, the standard operating procedure, Karen?
Report is in the packet.
Okay. Foundation and commission, that has not met. The ad hoc, the bylaws review, Tom?
The report's in the packet.
Okay, commissioner orientation training will be coming up probably in, well, it's not actually going to be an orientation because we've already sort of gotten into this whole thing, but it's going to be coming, there's going to be a training coming up in September or so. No, because we're doing it in relation to other things.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part? I didn't hear.
She said, oh, not till September. And I said, no, because we're doing it in coordination with some other things. We have to do an RFP for the whole thing to pan out.
For the facilitator, is that?
The whole thing,
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, the all-day lab committee. We had our first meeting. It was from 3 to 2 at headquarters. And I think it was quite successful, as I said earlier in my presentation, the chair report, or the commission report. I think people finally began to get a better grasp of what the pieces are that are involved between the labs, the commission, the library, and then you throw in the Friends and Foundation as well. I think the lab members are beginning to see how they all fit together, and the timing isn't what they thought it was on some things. One of the comments was around fines and fees. Well, why didn't we get more information to them sooner? The commission should have asked them to do something. And my response was the commission didn't even know about it, more or less, until a month before. Then we got the information on it. But it's the library that needs to make the connection. So we're beginning to see some different pathways that need to be taken in utilizing the labs to the best of the benefit. Okay, and the real estate committee.
Please, question
sorry.
On the labs. Are there going to be any deliverables from this all-day meeting?
Yes.
Especially things that might come to the commission for action?
Yes, there will be. And there are going to be probably 2 more meetings of all-day lab things in the future. One in September or October, and another one in after the first of the year. So, on the real estate committee, we got the information this morning about Roseland. We're on a call with Lana and Ann and Dave, and kind of got a little update on it so that we could actually act like we knew something when we got there. Anyway, but Roseland's in a good space, and we're coming up on, yeah, okay, any additions or questions? Okay, Yes.
I'd just like to add one more thing about Roseland that's very exciting, and that's that a year and a half ago we applied to get on the Scenic Network, and Roseland is included in that. So we're going to be able to put a high-speed connection into the new Roseland. There is fiber to the premise, or so we've learned. And so we're going to be able to connect the Roseland Library like we have connected all the other libraries back to that 10 gig pipe to the internet. So that's, I mean, to me, that's thrilling, because right now we have a Sonic.net business class pipe that we're sharing that is less than what our other branches are. So from my point of view, this is very, very exciting. And so when we get closer to, building, making the tenant improvements, we'll be able to install that high-speed connection to Scenic Network. And it's already included in the costs that we're paying now. So that's really, just terrific as far as I'm concerned. That'll make everything much more robust, particularly the Wi-Fi and so forth. So anyway.
Well, thank you, Vicki, very, very much. Okay. Anything else? Okay, moving on to consent calendar. Does anybody want to pull an item from the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, unanimously passed. It was moved by Tom and approved by Barbara. Seconded by Barbara. Okay, moving on to action items by motion. It's to authorize the library director to execute the compensation contract renewal document.
I'll move that.
I'll second for discussion.
Pardon?
I was seconding, but I believe David also was seconding. I just wanted to discuss it.
Okay, we've got it. Let's see, where are we? We're here. Okay, so you have something to discuss about it?
Yes.
All righty.
Can't find it. Where is it?
Page 200.
Could you speak closer to your microphone, please?
Page 200.
Yes, my comment, number one, I thought it was fantastic that our rates have gone down. It shows that we're doing really good work on safety procedures and so forth throughout the staff. So I commend all those who work on that. I did wonder why, and I don't have any opposition to the carrier that we selected, but it was more expensive than state fund, and I wondered what the decision-making was, why we would choose the slightly more expensive quote.
So we have been working with Berkshire Hathaway for several years, and so in common with that is a relationship with the processes and the claims handling and just the efficiencies with working with such an agency. So the difference, I had a discussion with Ann with regards to do we, at this time when we're trying to still work through our human resources information system, which is having some difficulties, try to spend that time learning new processes through a state fund, or spend the, what would be a nominal $20,000, what we saw in to go to a different broker. So it seemed like it would be a better use of our resources to stay with Berkshire Hathaway, even though it was only $20,000 difference. So
it's actually $15,000. But
sorry.
I do think it's it's public's money. I think it's we need to provide an explanation on the record for why we chose the more expensive option.
Okay.
There's a motion on the table. Any more questions or comments? There's a motion on the table that's been seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimously passed. Okay, there are no action items by resolution, so we're down to the director's report.
The report is in the packet. I would just like to point out that my activities over the past month have been kind of themed around relationships, planning, and positioning, trying to get us the contacts and the capacity to meet the many, many opportunities we have going forward.
Okay, so Rebecca, the financial reports.
Good evening. No, I do not. Yep. Okay. You could do a control find for a monthly financial.
That's what I was wondering.
Sorry. There you go. Keep going. Next.
238. By the way, I do like the color added to it. It's kind of fun in the report, just FYI. Yeah, it's on page 238. I mean, yeah, 238.
You too.
There we go. Alrighty.
Thank you. Our general fund cash balance as of April 30th is $14,541,749. It's up from March at 7.9. Sales tax cash balance at April 30th is $9,339,271. Again, the balance is up from $8,845,000 at March 31. Year-to-date revenue and expenses. The library shows excessive revenues over expenses of $7,754,000 through April 30th. The total revenues in April were $31,616,954. It's about 3.4 over what we budgeted for. And then again, our expenses were $23,862,064. We're about which is about 68% of the total budget. The library is about 83% through the fiscal year, so we only have May and June left to report. The tax revenue received is $30,326,000, and it's about 1.96 over the budgeted amount as of April 30th. We are going to get another tax payment in June, and our fund balance is approximately $29 million. And then again, we have our purchasing. Commissioner Neff had requested that we put a fourth column on this report, so we do have an additional column. We have the vendor's name, the dollar amount, and it is ranked according to what's over $25,000 to the highest amount. What the services are for, and then of course now the fourth column we added is how frequently may we make that purchase, whether it's capital, monthly, ongoing, or other. If it's a one-time, like the Sammy's camera is actually a refund, a reimbursement through the PEG program with the city of Santa Rosa. PEG again is what?
The PEG funds are the cable television funds that are funneled through the city of Santa Rosa, and it's part of a $150,000 annual allotment to the Santa Rosa area libraries. That really funds the equipment, for example, the spring video camp and things like that.
And we are reimbursed for that, the library is. So it does appear on our over 25 as a spend, but we get the reimbursement back for it. Any questions?
No questions? Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much, Rebecca. Okay. We're down to nominations for chair and vice chair. We're using the document that SOP submitted, and this is a test run. We've already found one hole, or one potential hole. David asked if when somebody nominated or self-nominated, should we give a short report? We didn't say anything about it in here, or a short supporting statement. We didn't say anything about it in here, so it's something to be considered, as we go. So I am going to open the nominations. People can self-nominate, or you can nominate somebody else. Yes.
Yes, and I'm going to preference this by saying the fact that this is not to diminish our current chair and vice chair's ongoing dedication, because this is not to diminish that in any way. I'm making these nominations because one has a national and state profile, and so I'm nominating Commissioner Doyle for chair, and my second nomination for vice chair is Commissioner Snyder, and the fact that she is known locally for sure, if not on a statewide, and I think that time is of the essence to capitalize on that, to move us forward on a state and national level.
Okay.
Reese?
David?
Yes. I nominate Reese for chair. Let me explain why. When I came on the commission, I was afraid this would be a hydra-headed monster of 11 people nominated by a whole bunch of different nominating entities. I was also afraid that we could easily fall into factions. One obvious faction is the more experienced people, which were 5 as of a year ago, versus the 6 new people. And it could easily have been, in many organizations, that the new people would have been consigned to the far reaches of the organization and not be given any significant assignments. It didn't happen. Reese made it clear that everybody was going to get a significant assignment according to their interests and skills. I think we all, well, I'll speak for myself, I was really delighted that I got stuff to do that I was interested in. This is what she did. She kept us going without factions, and she has moved us forward, and I'd like to continue her leadership. I also have a procedural question. I confess I didn't bring the document with me that we're operating under, and I wonder if it might be possible, after we're done this evening, to hold nominations over to the July meeting. I checked the bylaws. All it says is that the elections are to happen in July. Nothing on nominations. So it seems to me it's within our authority to keep nominations open, because certain people may suddenly decide they have ambitions here because they've, seen a couple of nominations. So that's what I would suggest, is to keep this open until July.
Well, if we were going to, yes. Oh, Deborah?
I'd like to deselect my name as a nominee. Thank you. I just can't do it next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I too need to deselect. I appreciate the nomination, and we can talk about some future year.
Okay. Tom?
Just for your edification, the reason we started with this because last year I realized in June we were coming up and we're going to have to elect somebody. And I said, well, shouldn't we know a month ahead of time who wants to run? And that's why we started that. And that's, I think, how the SOP got started. That's the proposed SOP. Having said that, I agree that Reese has done a fairly good job. My concern with Reese is the length of the meetings. And Reese has promised me that if I support her, she will create a special committee to consider recommendations for moving things along faster.
So is that a support for her
He has no idea what the meetings used to be like.
You'll find out.
Okay. So I'd like to nominate Barbara McKenzie as co-chair to continue Vice Chair.
She drinks.
Yes, and because, as was pointed out, I think continuity is important at this point, especially since we really need to have a commissioner workshop to get everybody on board and on the same page. So I think it would be advantageous to continue with both
Please speak
Barbara
into
and
the
Reese,
microphone.
and both Barbara and Reese for this next year.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'm assuming if somebody pops up that's not here, we can consider them next month too.
Yes. We'll do that.
My understanding from reading that, I haven't read it since last month, is that we're supposed to submit a statement of why we would be good at this job. And if we fail to do that, we will not be a part of the mix. So if the people who are interested, who aren't here or are here, and they have second thoughts, even though they're not nominated, can they still write something up and be considered at the next meeting?
I don't think we ever adopted that document as a standard operating procedure.
We didn't actually adopt it. It was just kind
a
of
concept. So I don't
framework
think
to
we
work
can
from.
hold anybody to a concept that hasn't been adopted as the rules.
So if somebody would like to, okay, let's take a consensus. If somebody who's not here, or even somebody who is here, has a change of mind and would like to submit for one position or the other, they can do that. We have to have the written statement to Jane to put in the packet by, so it'll in time to go in the next packet.
Okay, got it.
The deadline.
So is that agreeable?
Sounds good.
Is that agreeable with everybody?
Hallelujah.
Randall, is it agreeable to you? Okay. Okay, so the nominations technically are still open. Barbara and I have been nominated for chair and vice chair, and hopefully we'll submit our statements on time so I can get in the thing. Maybe I do better than I do with my reports. Okay, so we will leave it open, and we will send a notice out to those who are not here tonight to inform them of what we decided. Okay, are there any agenda items for future commission meetings? Yes, Barbara.
I had down here, somebody asked about this too, I believe David did, about a report on All Lab Day. I'd like to have some specifics as we go along, even though there's going to be more of these get-togethers. I'd like to have some real specifics while it's fresh in everybody's mind.
Yes, and thank you, Commissioner McKenzie. I second that. We did definitely have some action items, but by the time we appear here next month, there should be some deliverables on those action items. So I wholeheartedly second that. Thank you.
I think we were promised something later this week.
Yes, by Thursday. Sam and Cheryl, the two facilitators, are going to have their notes typed up by Thursday, and they will be disseminated to all the commissioners, all the lab members, and others who were there. Okay?
And that doesn't have to wait for the packet next month.
No, it will come out before then. Okay, anything else? And would you like a discussion on the all lab day?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other items for future commission meetings? Okie dokie. Date and time of the next meeting, Monday, July 1st, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Yes?
Before we adjourn, I don't know what these things are, but they're really cute, and I really like them, and no comment was made about them. Did I miss something?
Ray's responsible.
Yes, this is so cute. Yeah. So my question is, are these samples, or do we have a bunch of these and we're going to have a farmer's market and party in the plaza and a lab table on Friday at Runner Park? And these would be great to give out.
Thank you, Chair Fox and Commissioners. Ray Hawley. Various commissioners at times have asked for talking points, something small, pocket-sized. So we created these as samples. I'd be happy to create more for you. The idea was to give you new ones each month with new 4 or 5 talking points.
I think these are great. So, yeah, I'd love to have some more by Friday if possible.
Okay, will do.
Reese, Ray, I noticed you amended the logo to include the word biblioteca. I think this is great. Will this new logo be propagated throughout the system?
It's not currently a modification of the logo. It's an addition. I'm struggling with that a little bit, but
That's
yes.
a quibble.
True. Yes, it's going to be added to branch entry doors and printed material throughout
Our
the system.
packets, agendas, right? Good.
I'm getting there.
Okay. Great.
Just one more quick question while you're down there, Ray. You had talked to us before about the rollout on the information about no fines and fine forgiveness. And I saw something in one of the reports, but I just wondered if you could give us a little more detail about how we let the public know.
Public Service Division Manager Sarah Van Trees is leading a working group on that. I believe we're meeting tomorrow, and we're going to roll it out in plenty of time to notify the public. Best I can do at this point.
Deborah.
I'd like to thank the chair for getting us out of here before 8:30.
Hallelujah! That's my goal every night. Okay, whoa, I have 6 minutes. Wait a minute, no. Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Yay.